Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on Disney Plus with this week's live Q&A. And obviously we've got the big launch of Star coming up on Tuesday. We've got tons of questions. Literally about 5 pages there. We had a lot of questions that we're going to try and get through. I'm going to be answering questions as well on the live chat. So we've got lots of people in on the live chat. We got Sarah, we got Yusuf. We've got James, who does the podcast with us as well. We've got Joshua. Huge thank you for everyone for doing that. And a big thank you for Joshua for upgrading to Diamond. Like I said, this is something I'm going to be trying to do. This time slot is kind of might be where it will sit, especially going into the summer. So we'll just have to see how this goes. But this is the one I'm probably going to be sticking with because it makes the most sense. So again, so this is going to be a question and answer. All these questions have come in through YouTube channel members and also on Patreon. And as I said, we'll be taking other questions as well on the live chat for members on YouTube. So let's jump into the questions and let's just start off at the front. Now, here we go. So what time will Star launch on the 23rd of February? Now, this one actually did come up a couple of times, but that's why I thought I'd do it first. Now, it's kind of quite interesting with this one because essentially we've kind of got an exact time. And that is that on the official Disney website in Australia, we've got a countdown clock going 1 day at 22 hours, 58 minutes. Now, that means then for them, usually that's middle of the afternoon. I'm expecting for Disney Plus Star to launch sort of 8 o'clock in the morning UK time. I know there's a lot of conversation about the idea that it will come up a little bit maybe earlier than that, maybe at midnight, because that's kind of what happened with the launch on Disney Plus. It kind of started up rolling out a little bit earlier, so I wouldn't be at all surprised if things start rolling out a little bit earlier. I've already started seeing things on Google, so when you see, like I saw like Ugly Betty, you could actually click on it. It didn't open it up properly, but it went in there. Everyone's been getting the updates over the last weekend, so make sure if you have, or you are going to be getting Star, make sure you upgrade now rather than doing it on Tuesday. Get in, make sure your apps are all up to date. Important note as well, parental controls are going to be upgrading and they're going to be global, so everyone is going to have this update. I think it just makes a lot more sense. But so that's the time zone that we think is going to be kicking in. That's on the Australian one, so that's generally going to be like evening on the Tuesday. That's when it would launch in Australia. I think it's going to be 8 o'clock in the morning for us because that's usually when it updates. But yeah, so that's really going to be thing. So just a huge thank you as well to everyone on in the live chat, just seeing what's going on there. So let's jump into one of the other questions. So we'd say, do you see Disney Channel producing content exclusively for Disney Plus in the near future? That was asked by Connor. Yes, Disney Channel have been making content. For example, Secret Society of the Second Born Royals was made by the Disney Channel. Also, High School Musical, the series, is also made by the Disney Channel. And we're going to see more of this. I actually think we're going to see much more of a blend between Disney Channel and Disney Plus, because obviously there isn't, essentially those Disney Channel shows are exclusive in like internationally, like on Australia and the UK. We're going to see more of this. We're going to see a lot more shows shifting over to Disney Plus. You know, we're seeing it with Sofa Springs this coming up next few weeks ahead, with new episodes dropping much quicker. I think, yeah, you're going to see so many more stuff coming from Disney Channel. That's going to be their new main hope, I think, for kind of running with that line really of but yeah, so we're definitely going to see a lot more of that going forward. Now let's jump into some more questions here. So we've got Joshua, who is actually live in the chat, and he's just upgraded, so thank you very much for that, Joshua. If you could choose 5 topics that Disney could make into a documentary, what would these be and why? And this is one that I actually did pre-think, and I have actually got some notes on the wall here. So the first one I would have would be one about building parks, about building the theme parks. Basically the Imagineering story, but much more detailed, much more for us geeks. Get away from the fluffiness that you get on the normal things, but go into some real depth, especially like with Shanghai. Maybe if they're going to building a new land or something like that, get in and do some real deep dives into how they build the parks. That's one. And the next one is I like them to do like a Disney Cruise Line show. We see a lot of them over here. We have lots of cruise shows where they kind of do a documentary reality TV show where they follow people around. I mean, that just seems like something perfect for Disney, kind of cross promotion. We've seen it on the Disney fairy tale weddings, so I could definitely see them doing that moving forward. So another one, and this one's just purely from my own point of view. I'd love to see just a WWE documentary. I know they get lots on the WWE network, and they just signed a deal with the Peacock. But just for me personally, I'd like to see a wrestling documentary. Now this one's a little bit more different. A Norse mythology documentary. I am playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the Xbox One X. I'm just shy of 60 hours into the game. I've been enjoying God of War. And the thing that keeps coming up during these games is it's mentioning Loki, Asgard, Thor, Odin, fire. And I'm really interested. I feel like I've been learning so much about Norse mythology. And I know when I was at Epcot last time, we went into the little building and there was a little area where they had like Loki and Thor and all the rest of it because of it being the Norse gods. I'd really like them to do something with the Norse gods things. And another one, really, the final one, is really doing some more deep dives into how they make TV shows and movies. But I'd like them to start maybe right from the word go, from when they're starting to do the pilots, when they're doing the scripting, and really show us what actually happens and go through the process step by step and take it, don't treat it like, to take their time, go follow, maybe over a 3-4 year period, they do that on a few movies and really show us the host aspect of how they do it. So a little bit more detailed than we are used to. So that was the one there. So jumping into the chat. Okay, so Christianos has asked, is Disney Plus coming to Switch? That is also another question that has come up. So I will say I'd love it to be on the Switch. There seems to be a reason with I think Nintendo are just not really pushing the streaming services. I know Hulu's on there, but there's nobody else on there. The fact that we haven't got one by now, and I think we're probably going to end up with a new version of the Switch at some point coming up, it just doesn't feel like they've been really pushing that. So I don't think we're going to get one for the Switch. It's gone too far now. We know they're nearly moving on to a new model, so I don't think we're going to get one. Maybe on the new version, but yeah. So jumping into there. So James says, does Thor Ragnarok fulfill both your need for a wrestling documentary and a Norse documentary? Kind of, yes. I mean, if you can get a few more wrestlers involved, then definitely. Yusuf asks, we should have a series into what goes on in the Disney parks daily, kind of like the Savoy series that we have in the UK. Like, yeah, I do actually watch that Savoy series, and that's very well done. They kind of did it with that One Day at Disney, but the trouble and the magic, the magic of Disney's Animal Kingdom. I keep wanting to say, when you have magic and kingdom in the same word with Disney, it keeps throwing me off. So I do think I would love that as well, but the trouble is they tend to want to protect everything a little bit too much, and I think that sometimes comes across as they don't let us see what's really going on. Maybe if there's a fight going on in the park, or if there's some drunken sort of louts doing the pub crawl around Epcot, I'd like to see something a little bit more meaty, but Disney would never show that. Hello to new member Johnny T Zone, so thank you, and also to Raphael for becoming members. Jump back into some more questions. Okay, so let's see where we were. We've got quite a few questions today, like I said. The random movie fan asked, will international movies not from Disney come to Star for a quota? We will be, I think, seeing some movies from Star. I don't know, but they'll be picking up some stuff, I suspect, through like Searchlight. They will be trying to put some things on there just to kind of fill up that quota. I could see them picking up international rights to some documentaries and some kind of indie movies just to kind of help fill out the Star brand, and they could release them under Searchlight Pictures. I mean, it's in some way, there's a lot of indie movies that fit that. I mean, last year we had the David Copperfield one, which I think was made in pretty much England, so that would have counted had it been over here. So James, yeah, the magical magic of Disney's Magical Magic Kingdom. And yeah, and I can't say that on my first try either. Johnny asked, do you think that Disney will add all of the Hulu originals to Star, or will it just be select ones? Okay, so as far as the Hulu originals, it's very complicated because not all of Hulu originals are made by Disney. Some of them have been brought in from other sort of companies. Some of them are made by NBC. Some of them have been made by Time Warner. Say, for example, The Handmaid's Tale has been created by MGM. They license it for the US. It's not an international one. There's one today. Someone asked, and I just completely forgot the name of the show. That one is actually also some of them are done with BBC. And, we are going to see that, I think, a little bit more where a lot of the older Hulu originals aren't necessarily made by Disney. Some of them, like Love Victor, are created by 20th Century Studios. Same thing with Solar Opposite. So they're actually completely made by Disney. And I think we're going to see more of that going on. So yeah, we're not going to get every Hulu original. There's like, I think that Billy movie that's just hitting Hulu this in March. That won't. I think that's just US. So yeah. So jumping in here. So the random movie fan asked, I meant licensing movies for the quota. I don't know if they'd go after old movies. I think it's just going to be primarily new movies they'd go after. But I can see them going after movies, definitely, to get hold of them. So Yusuf asks, what do you expect to become Star Originals in 2021? Okay, so as far as Star Originals, again, I've made some notes earlier. I think we're going to see Rebel, which is a new ABC series. Also, Home Economics. That one's going to be starting on ABC in April. So those are two new ABC shows. I think they will definitely, anything that's coming to ABC that's brand new, we're going to end up seeing as a Star Original. Same thing with FX, any new shows coming in, because they won't maybe come under the BBC deal, for example, here in the UK. Next year, we'll see a lot more of that from of what's going on with all the FX shows, like things that maybe we wouldn't be getting because of the existing deals. Again, we're really in that situation of where America's has been in the last year, where there's lots and lots of existing deals, and now we're kind of getting all that with this Star stuff. So yeah, don't automatically put it down as they're all going to be at. I mean, I know, for example, some of the UK shows that they announced for March, they've shown them in Canada and Australia on other networks. It's very, very, very tricky when it comes to these Hulu originals. Yeah, it's not quite as clear cut as we'd like it. That seems to be the difficulty. So the random movie fan asked about the Nintendo Switch, which we've covered. Okay, so Yusuf asks, as a lot of Disney Plus social media accounts have been specifically created on Instagram, however, all are currently private. When do you think they will become private with only a few days to go? Looking at what's happening on Instagram and Twitter already, they aren't going to be launching Star branding for they're just using the Disney Plus logo, branding. They aren't seem to be doing anything separate. You know, we've been seeing trailers on Instagram and Twitter of Family Guy, Grey's Anatomy. They are going all in one social media. It is part of Disney Plus. I know there was this kind of weird thing of like, are they going to try and keep them separate? Nah, the Canada one's launched as well. They are fully going in on having everything under that one brand. I think they know that's segregating it out. And if you're on social media, you're not supposed to be a kid. So therefore, that things like that is going to come in. So now let's jump into another question. So Lewis asked on here. So we go. There have been reports that shows like Futurama are coming to start on release on the UK, but has not been announced. Do you think Disney might be sitting on stuff that hasn't been announced yet? Yes, there is some shows coming and some movies coming that have been announced that like Kingsman is one that's going to be coming on Tuesday in the UK. That wasn't in the initial announcement. I think some of that has been down to the deals expiring since they announced it, and I think there are going to be some extra shows. Futurama definitely seems to be one that's coming in. Don't know why that they wasn't announced. I think there could be another wave to kind of get people excited. It wouldn't be at all surprised if we saw that. But yeah, there will be more coming, I'm sure of it. No matter it might not be a huge amount, but we could definitely see some other things. Here we've got Johnny asked, will Disney add the Netflix Marvel shows to Star, or do Netflix get to keep them? The character rights to all of them have now shifted back to Marvel because it's been over 2 years since they've cancelled. However, those shows were created by Netflix, and I think they've got the distribution rights for them, or at least for a lot longer yet. They've said years. But it does mean now that Jessica Jones can turn up in the She-Hulk series, and also more importantly, they can actually start talking about it, because that was the other problem. They weren't allowed to go into anything. Yeah, so you've got to really think that those shows are still going to be on Netflix for a while to come. James added, people probably squatting on Instagram usernames so that trolls don't grab them. Yep, so that can go two ways. First off, Disney grabbing them to make sure that they keep them, but also people just being foresight enough to grab them maybe beforehand, and we saw that a lot. Jason asked, could we see some kind of big update with Disney Plus once Star comes out? Could we see anything change slightly to anything? So there are some big changes coming to Disney Plus globally with the change of the parental controls, where you're going to be able to select like 12, 14, 16, 18 of what one. So that's a big one that's definitely going to be coming in. I actually was made aware today that was how it was in Latin America, so they've kind of been trying it for a while. But no, the app's already been kind of updated. We'll see the big thing. We'll see the changeover of how it looks. I don't think we're going to see much difference in how the app looks. There's too much at stake right now. They've got the parental controls and they've got all that content. Johnny T asks, do you think that the Alien franchise could be added at launch of Star or at a later date? Well, they haven't actually even, as far as the Alien movies, that they are, some of them are still licensed to Now TV, so they might start drip and feed them out. A lot. This is, again, it's all going to be difficult in the like Australia and Canada. They've kind of going to be getting them, so it's going to be a bit different. So that's why they might not necessarily be there for the UK launch, but there will be other places. Okay, so we've done page. So let's move down. Okay, so Joshua asked, will Maleficent, with Maleficent and Cruella being released, which villains should Disney do next? I was thinking perhaps either Hades, Ursula, or Hook. So as far as they go, I don't think they're going to do Hook, because they're already doing Peter Pan and Wendy. With Jude Law's already doing it. So unless they've signed him up for a sequel or a prequel, it kind of feels like it's not the right time. I know they're working on a live action version of Hercules, so therefore doing Hades. There's been a lot of talk about this series that they're working on for Disney Plus or ABC, looking at the villains. So that might be the way that they go down and do. But this, Cruella looks like this is going to be a big hit. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do something. I'd like Hades. I think Hades could be really fun to do. I think Evil Queen is a little bit harder. I think with Cruella, it kind of being in the real world, it makes it a little bit easier. The Snow Queen, or even like Mother Gothel, could be quite fun to do. Okay. The random movie fast. If Disney owns syndication rights to the show, do they put it on Disney Plus? Yes, there's a number of shows that they've got syndication rights to. I think the trouble is with like syndication rights, they can get rights to releasing stuff that they didn't make because they purchased it. I think like Thumbelina is coming to the UK, which was not made by them. It was made by Warner Brothers. So there are these kind of weird things between syndication rights and streaming rights. I think that's why they had to sort something out with that Modern Family recently. Johnny T Zone said, when will they have 6+ rating? Will that be added to the kids profile? Options for the new parental controls. Yeah, so you're going to have the kids account, so anything under like 6 is available in that, which you've got already. And then you're kind of going to have slightly higher versions for teenagers and stuff, which I think you're going to see a lot more of going forward. And I think it also allows Disney a little bit more scope where they can push the boundaries a little bit more, maybe for the US start. Because everyone was like, yeah, we're going to get it all in the US. Like, maybe not. I think it's more, people maybe that don't want to see the right stuff on for a 10-year-old, things like that. So, Yusuf asked, do you think any more Descendants movies will be made? I don't know. I think that one I think with, obviously with Cameron dying, I don't know if people would be up for that at the minute. I think it's too soon. So yeah, I'm not too sure if they would do that. We're just going to have to wait on that one. Yusuf asked, if I was to cancel my Disney Plus subscription in March and rejoin in May, will I also get the price rise, or is it only for new members? Right, so this one is one that Disney actually put out a really cool thing this past week on Instagram, showing of how does the new price work. So, how this works is, do you have an existing monthly subscription? So, yes or no. So, if you have a monthly subscription and prior to 23rd, you'll keep the price. And then it will stay at that price until the 23rd of August, where it will then shift up to $7.99. So the important thing with that is to remember, if you stop becoming a member, you are no longer an existing member. So if you don't if you have an annual subscription, so you have to have purchased it before the 22nd of August. At which point you can then kind of basically up to the 23rd of August, you'll be paying the current price. And if you have got an annual subscription, it'll be priced at $59.99. So that's kind of how that is working. So if you leave Disney Plus now, with just days to go, I mean tomorrow, basically, you will have to pay the full price when you come back. So I would suggest you take out an annual subscription today or tomorrow to get that cheap price. You could basically save yourself like 20 quid for the next year. Like for me, you know, Disney Plus launched in March last year, so that's when I took out the annual subscription to the UK one, and it will be renewing, and it will be renewing at the old price. So I get it right through to next March. So I think that's a fantastic thing that they've done. I really do. I think that one's such a great way of them doing it. And I definitely think that is the best way they could have done it. I don't think they could have done it any better way, really. Okay, let's jump back in. So Yusuf asks, when do you think the newer seasons of 911 will come to Disney Plus Star? This one is, we had a virtual press event earlier this week, and they kind of confirmed that if kind of like Sky or any other companies that have still got the rights to it, they'll go there first, and then we'll see them on Disney Plus afterwards. And I think like Grey's Anatomy's 911, they're still on Sky. So that's where that might come in. But yeah, we are going to start seeing. It's the problem with these old shows, and until the contracts end, they can't really do much about them. Jumping into the live chat, Jason asks, what have the numbers been for Disney regarding premium access? Have Disney found out that people will wait for it to be free, or are they high enough to keep going after Raya? Disney have not released any data about Mulan. They have said that they're happy with it, and they want to get some more data from Raya. So the trouble with Mulan had so many other issues going on. It was the first one and all the rest of it. I think Raya will give them a much clearer picture. Obviously, where everybody is at that point will also have a big thing. But yeah, they've not released any information. Johnny also asks, are Disney able to put the first Like Mike movie onto Disney Plus as the sequel was recently added? I don't know why they did. In the UK we got number 2, whereas in Canada they got both. This will all come down to the existing contracts of what they've already got. That'll be why. He also asked, is it possible we could see more things added that wasn't on the list? I think there will be. I don't think there's gonna be a lot. I'll be honest. I think that was a pretty good launch lineup. And then he also asked, do you think the older shows and movies that are Disney will be added at the 16:9 widescreen, or will they be the original aspect ratio? Some properties on Disney Plus are cropped. I think this one's going to be tricky, and I think it's going to be a case-by-case basis. A lot of the newer shows are probably already in the right aspect ratio. They'll have whatever they I don't think they're going to be going into too much. The amount of things they're putting on there, I kind of have a feeling they might pop it up there, and if there's a problem, then deal with it afterwards. Lewis asks, will Disney renew their old deals for shows, for example, on Sky? I think once those deals are done, they'll be going to Star. There will be no doubt about it. They've said that themselves. They're not signing any new deals, but they have to honour the old ones. Random Movie Fan asks, how is the Disney Plus Premier Access $30, $20? Is it a more reasonable price? The thing is with this price point of like $30 US, it's about the definition of value and money. Essentially, you have to think of between $20 and $30. There's a big chunk of that becomes theirs. And it's about sending that message that it's premium. This is a premium product. This is not just a standard rental. You are getting it super early. You should have been going, and that's where people need to. It's how you look at these premium rental. You have to look at it. They could sell more of them at 20, but they've then got to, for every, if they're down $10 on everyone, they've got to sell essentially so many more to make up the same amount of money. So it's not necessarily. It's not always best to sell more. Sometimes it's better to sell less, but you make more money on them. So that's always a thing to keep in mind. The price point, you can have a company that sells 100 cakes a month, but if they make no money on it, the company that's selling 1,000 and making £10 on it will make more money. You've got to look at it. The price point coming down doesn't necessarily. It's not always good for businesses, and if it's no good for businesses, they just won't do it. That one we've done. Done that one. Okay, some more questions. So Ben asks, what time will the content be added when you log in? Will it be there will be an announcement when you log in after it's launched. You need to accept it, but I'm guessing it's going to be the standard time of around about 8 o'clock. So also as James points out in the live chat, yes, they do have to please movie theaters. Disney don't want to keep pissing off cinemas by sending everything to Disney Plus. They can at least say with the Premier Access, they're going, well, we've offered it, but it's a premium price. It's not just being offered really cheap. Jason asks, I was surprised something like The Great North wasn't announced as a Disney Plus exclusive. Could we see Disney starting to close the Fox channel to bring it to live TV? He also asks, do you think that Black Widow could become Premier Access? So this is the thing of, like, as far as Premier Access for Black Widow goes, I think they are going to have to make a judgment call probably in a few weeks, see where the land lies with everyone, of where they're going, see what happens with Raya, see what the data is. They could push it back into Shang-Chi's lineup, or they might just be along the lines of, like, somebody has to go, somebody has to blink at this point, and Marvel could do it. I cannot see any chance going just to Disney Plus. It has to be a Premier Access. And I could see them being really sneaky and putting up to $35 just to kind of do it. So that's kind of the thing moving forward. Jumping into some other questions. So we've done that one. Okay, so Bad Dog Gamer asked, do you know if Disney will be releasing their Hulu Originals on at the same time? For example, Solar Opposites Season 2. Well, Season 2 is definitely not arriving at the same time as the UK, because we'll still only be getting the first season. We did actually... I think the thing is, to be honest, with these Hulu Originals, it might make more sense when new ones start dropping in the future. That could be available. But I got a feeling that Hulu's going to start doing the same thing with the weekly drops. I think that will be coming. Because they're going to want to start spreading that content out as well. Because I think there is that kind of thing of the weekly drops are working. You can see the difference in it. Joshua asked, do you think it's possible that Disney could merge its offerings of Hotstar in the UK with Disney Plus, or do you think it's too complicated at this stage? Two completely different audiences, because Hotstar does exist here in the UK, does exist in the US, but it's just Indian content, and I don't think they would need to mix it together. I don't think it's the right mix together. It's a completely separate service. It's got a completely different niche. It's a very niche product here in the UK, whereas Disney Plus is. And I think if they put it all in there, it would kind of essentially probably maybe devalue a bit of Hotstar, because it wouldn't get the big numbers, and I just don't see them doing it. I think it's a very niche market. So Sarah said, how many people watching this podcast aren't eligible, living in the United States? I'm happy for, but when will we be successful? So I think that's the... As far as it's kind of quite funny with this whole thing of how many people have got it, because I've been looking at the data of my audience either on YouTube, on the Facebook group, the Facebook page, and also the website. And while America makes up a big chunk of it, maybe about 40 to 50% of it, if when I combine the UK, they're about maybe 40%, and then you got the rest of the world. So there's kind of this kind of weird thing where it's like, I know it doesn't affect half of the viewers, but it does affect the other half. So it's a real kind of mix of how we're doing it. Yusuf asks, how high can you see the Disney Plus price reaching? I don't know with that one, because I think the trouble is, in 20 years' time, how are we not going to know how much that price is going to keep going up? And in 30 years' time, whatever, I think the price is just going to keep going up year on year on year. You will be looking back and go, oh, I remember when I paid like $5.99 for it, and now it's $24.99. But then a bottle of milk, prices of everything go up, and I always feel like, as someone that's been, has had a real life business for like the last 20 plus years, you have to put your prices up every year. So I always find that one is going on. So James, I wasn't sure if you were just asking people outside the States who are still getting stars. Yeah. You want to invest in more local content for Disney Plus, more to reach the local European quota. Do you think more British originals will arrive on Disney Plus and star dependent on their agreements? Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of UK originals, because I think that's probably one of their easiest ones to make. They're probably maybe one of their biggest audiences, but also they can then use that everywhere. That's the difference. They then can use it for the US market, Australia, etc. They've got a much bigger use. If they make it for a German one, that's got such a smaller audience, whereas they make one for the UK audience, they can send it over as a Disney Plus original to America as well, or even as a Hulu original, because that's it can go the other way. They could send it over there. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that kind of thing. Okay, so Mike asked, with the Fox Channel and Ireland having NCIS in New Orleans and former shows like The Closer, do you think Disney that do not own could they share them with Sky? I don't think they're going to share them at all with Sky, if they can get away with it. There is some things that's going on with Amazon now where they're sharing. But the Fox Channel and the Disney Plus are very different. It depends if they've got rights, because CBS make NCIS rather than... and so that would be more likely to get it for Channel 5, which is owned by them. So yeah, it is very different. So a big hello to Ryan, who is a brand new member. Thank you very much for becoming a member. Jumping back into the questions. So we've got Joshua with Fantastic Four seemingly to end at Phase 4, assuming that they don't do the origin story again, which I hope they don't. Do you think the big bad will either be Doctor Doom or Namor, which was teased at the end of being Galactus, or perhaps with the announcement of a mini-series or a film for the Silver Surfer? I think they're going to start slowly building up the Fantastic Four, because I think with the Fantastic Four, what they could start doing, start setting them up in the real world. There's been so much speculation this past week with Reed Richards coming in to, they can start doing that. It's been all over the news today with Jennifer Lawrence maybe possibly playing Storm. So take that with a very big pinch of salt. So I do think that they're going to start playing with that, but it's going to be very much at the end, because the director's doing the Spider-Man movie first. I don't think it's going to be happening for a while. So I think they could start introducing it. If they just introduce Reed Richards, they don't necessarily have to introduce all of them. I think there will have to be some kind of origin story, because they can go to space and then they get hit with that's pretty much it. They can do that in a very, very short period of time, but they can introduce maybe Reed and Storm in other movies and just maybe leave Grimm and his brother out for a while. They can do that a bit later on. So jumping in here now. Okay, so Lewis asked, what do you think Disney will buy next? The next thing they'll buy will be Comcast. They will not Comcast. Will be to buy out Hulu. That will be the next thing they'll buy out. There's a lot of talk about MGM. I think right now Disney are not in a fit state to kind of go after anybody else. They might go after licensing deals and stuff like that. Johnny just literally brought up, do you think Disney would try to buy MGM? I think they'll be trying to get it, because but the rights for MGM are very splintered. They're all over the place. It's not quite as valuable as maybe we think it is. While they've made a lot of movies, a lot of them got sold to Warner Brothers beforehand, so they're not quite as valuable as we think. So Yusuf asked, have you ever thought about doing a one-off big group watch of WandaVision finale with your viewers, or just with your members? I had thought about doing group watches. I'm not going to lie. The whole thing with live streams was the idea of doing group watches, but I don't know if I'm really going to be. It's am I really entertaining enough when I'm watching TV, and just especially if I am planning on doing something like this, but it'll be much later in the year if I do start doing some group watches. And if I do, it will be with members and Patreons first as kind of a trial. So the idea is to do something like this, but it'll be much later in the year. It definitely won't be before the summer, but I have thought about it. So there has been ideas. As far as watching it with finales and stuff, I really don't know, because it's WandaVision, I'm kind of in the zone. But I could have, doing something maybe with Flora and Ulysses after I've watched it, that could be a bit more interesting, or I could be a bit more engaging because I have seen the movie, and you guys haven't. So that's kind of one way I have been looking at it. But yep, it's definitely on there. So that's definitely on there for doing the group watches. Okay, so jumping back into the chat. So we've done the Fantastic Four one. As far as the villain, I think you've got to go Doctor Doom. I think Namor was going to be more for Black. They can start moving around. They can do all of them. So Joshua asks, do you think it's likely we'll get some multiple seasons of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or will it be similar to WandaVision? Will it be one similar act and a bridge between a film and another one? I don't know on that one. I think if they were going to do it, they might do it as a completely different show and call it something else. I mean, they could do Falcon and the Winter Soldier season 2 if there's a name for it. I don't think WandaVision can do that, but I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier, if it's a success and they've got the story, they could do it. James asked about the group watch thing. And the thing is with group watch is how it works is I've seen it with a few other places. You can obviously do the group watch with it built in if you're friends, and you can send out the link to members. So we could do that. But you can only have like 6 or 7 of you. But generally, what happens is when you do it on YouTube, you have a little counter, and I'll be like, right, everyone press go now, and everyone does it. As long as you're a Disney Plus subscriber, it's fine. That's how that one works. Ryan asked, do you think that Disney might offer ESPN in the UK like they do in the US at an extra cost? No, I don't think Disney are going to go after ESPN at all over here. I think it's a very hard market for them to grow. ESPN is causing them problems in the US, and they've got to sort that out. They've got the whole situation in Latin America and Asia to kind of sort out with their sports. They probably could do if they get it all sorted, and ESPN I think could be a big brand over here, but I think they know they need to keep it separate away from TV. There's a lot of people that don't mix. If you're having the sports, the rights are so expensive, that's what pushes the prices up, and that's why with Star in the Latin America, Star Plus, they kind of had to do that rather than in ESPN. I don't agree with. I think they would have been better off doing ESPN Plus down in Latin America and doing Star the way they're not here. But as Lewis said, it's already with BT Sport, and Disney sold ESPN to BT, so it's not very likely. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't really. I'm going to watch the Elimination Chamber tomorrow morning on the WWE Network, but that's as far as sports go. That's all I know. I'm not a big sports fan. Joshua asks, is it rumored that the okay? So we did the Netflix one, and Joshua asked, do you think that Nova will make an appearance in Phase 5 or perhaps Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? I think he's definitely coming. He's definitely coming, and we just got another question. So I'm just going to bring up from Joshua. It's literally just come in now on the app. Will the X-Men movies be moved to Star, and also will we get the Wolverine and X-Men Evolution? I think anything like that. I don't think Wolverine's. I think they're going to keep them under the Marvel banner, but I think they don't need to move it there. But we've already starting to see them moving things like Rio and the Fault in Our Stars. And the Simpsons. They're going to be shifting over into the Star banner. So Jason asks, with Disney closing many of their channels globally and a lot of shows ripe for commercials, could we see shows become more serialized going forward with Disney, or stick at the pace they go at? They will, I think, start changing. You've seen it with Disney Plus. They don't need to do as long episodes. They don't need to keep to the advertising spots, but they are probably still going to be maybe licensing them out to maybe BBC, ITV. They're still going to be looking at that as a way of going forward, but they can make them a bit shorter. And you see it with WandaVision. I mean, also the thing is, like with WandaVision, you can clearly see that there is no advert planned. Because I think there was one. I don't know if it was Shop Class, which was exactly like 44 minutes, and you could have easily have looked at it that could have been gone to a TV series. That could have gone to TV at any given point. Jason said, AEW. I've watched a little bit on ITV, but there's enough for WWE. As James says, go teams. Sports ball team, go go go. Lewis asked, do you think Disney will rebuy Spider-Man anytime soon? Feels so weird that Spider-Man movies not being available on Disney Plus. I could easily see Disney doing a deal with Sony to get the contract to license them. I think that could be very is. Yusuf asked, do you think that Nickelodeon would ever create their own streaming service? They don't need to, because it's going to be part of Paramount Plus. And I think we're going to end up seeing Paramount Plus or 5 Plus or whatever they're going to use the term over here. Yeah, so the Nickelodeon is boosting up Paramount Plus, so that'll be how that will work. Johnny asks, if a movie is rated under 6+ on Star category, will it be available to access on the kids' profile? We don't know yet, but I'm assuming so. I don't think Star is completely off limit to kids. I think it's going to be based on the way. But it's the fact that Rio is doing it, is going in. I think it will just be easier for them to have it there. And if you're a kid, and also, maybe if you're 12, you're still going to see different content in there. jump into some of these other questions. So now we'll jump over to Patreon. So Gavin asked, updates on the new seasons of Harlow, 911, Grey's Anatomy all seem to be quiet. Sky haven't confirmed or denied when these new episodes will air. Do you think that will happen? Yes or no? So yeah, as I mentioned earlier with them, they are. It does seem weird that they've not done it, but Sky always tended to keep stuff back anyway because they didn't want to have the breaks like we get, and I think that was the problem. So I just had another question drop in from Joshua on Patreon. Let's bring that one up. I don't know, where's it gone? Yeah, here we go. And with the Fate Wing saga being a hit on Disney, or could Disney do a Witch live action for Star? Revive shows yeah, I think we're going to see just a lot more different kind of content coming in. Jumping back into Patreon. So Joseph asks, will we get more Star shows at the UK at launch, or did they state that Disney would be dropping? I don't know. As far as the Star Originals, we're going to be getting all 4 of them dropping on Tuesday. There won't be any more than that. They've already announced the 3 that will be coming in March. They're going to spread them out. They're going to be spreading them out. Right. Okay, so just a quick note. So we've got about 3 or 4 more minutes left before I've got to wrap this one up. Yeah, loads of questions. Absolute loads of questions between all you guys in the live chat and things. So we've got a few more on the live chat if you want to jump in, because we've kind of gone through all of them. So, like I said, big hello to all of our new members. Right. Yusuf asks, have you ever used BritBox? And if... and would you? I wouldn't use BritBox. I've got no interest in going in and watching old shows like that. I have a little bit of a problem with it as being a BBC. I pay my TV license. If you're not unaware of that, internationally over here in the UK, we have to pay the BBC to be a subscriber a year. It was not necessarily in the law now, but up till recently, you had to pay it as long as you had a television, and that's how everything's unique. We don't get advertised any adverts on it. Very differently done to anything else. You have to pay for it. So I kind of have a feeling like that should be a part of my subscription, and I'm not willing to pay BritBox for more. And it's all been on Dave. I've seen it all before. It's all been repeated. I really don't understand what BritBox is all about. I really don't get that one. So Johnny said, do you think that the spin-off show Angel will drop on Star in the UK? It is dropping in Canada and I think Australia. I suspect it's down to where it is now, and I think that's always the big issue going on, where it is now rather than... So I'm just going to do a very, very quick check just to see where Angel is in the UK. Because, yeah, it's always this kind of situation. Angel show, right now it is Angel Season 2, Season 1. It's not on anywhere at the minute, so I don't know... It will come up at some point. I expect there must be a reason for it. So James says, Roger's the real star here for putting up with all my nonsense. I think it probably does go the other way around, to be fair. So Tinkerbell asks, in Germany, Grey's Anatomy, 911 and The Simpsons are being shown on normal TV, and they're putting them, and they just started with new seasons in parallel to them being uploaded to Disney Plus. It's all going to come down to those contracts in those countries. Everywhere is different. If they've got a non-exclusive deal, maybe that was why they got around it. Also, that was a lot of the time, a lot of them, if they were new deals, they maybe weren't exclusive, because I know that one's been a bit of an issue. So Yusuf asks, what about Discovery Plus? Do you know what? I've got on I've got Discovery Plus on Sky Q. I've got a year of it for free. I had a little bit tricky trying to activate it. It wouldn't kind of let me in. And I've just never even gone into it. I've got a year's worth. I've just never even gone into it. Yeah, so I mean, I subscribe to... Well, we have Sky, so that would be like Now TV. We've got Netflix, we've got Amazon Prime, I've got the WWE Network, I've got Spotify. So those are the kind of... And then obviously Disney Plus. So pretty much covers most of it. And plus I've got Xbox Game Pass, so there's quite a bit of it. So right, we've got 1 minute left, so the last minute questions before I have to go. Again, just huge thank you to everybody for watching. We've got a massive amount of people watching. We've got great chat going on, which is fantastic. This is exactly what I wanted to do with this. It seems to be working with this live format. You guys seem to be really responding well to it. So big thank you to all of our patrons, all of our YouTube channel members for all of your support. Remember to go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com to keep up with it, especially if you're out in Australia because of all the issues with our Facebook, etc. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook, as I said, as well. But yeah, thank you very much to everybody in live chat, and thank you very much for all of your questions. I'll be back next week with another one, and I shall be planning on doing it at the same time as well. So thank you very much, guys. See you guys soon. Laters. Bye.